Hi and welcome to the Wilson Chala's YouTube channel. We are dedicated to preserving and sharing Zambia's rich history through topics like culture, politics, finance, and education. From traditional ceremonies to trending stories, parliament proceedings, and everyday voices, we bridge Zambia's past to its future. Join us in building a timeless digital archive. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and now let us explore the story you've been waiting for.
Leaving a nation since the passing of Michael Sata, the former president of Zambia.
Here is what happened.
In honor of this remarkable event.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your trusted source for balanced commentary, analysis, documentaries, and latest development from Zambia and beyond. In today's video, we'll carefully examine today's topic by separating the facts from opinions, providing context, and helping you understand why this story matters. I encourage you to watch until the end because the last section always contains the most important concept that you need to watch. Now let's start
we do
the
our
video.
usual updates around the election. President Hakainde Hichilema sent invitations to regional leaders and to key stakeholders in the country who should attend his inaugural inauguration. So Cabinet Office invitation surprisingly names Hakainde Hichilema S as inviting you, as you are being invited to the inauguration of Hakainde Hichilema on 1st September, despite all these things that are before you, before us, that is invalidly elected as the election cycle ended. And we give you an update on the Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya's funeral and the current updates, and then our dear leaders, Brian Mundwil and Makebi Zulu, hold up at the United Nations compound. What's the update regarding them? The state is fiercely pursuing them, and the state wants them surrendered so that they can answer to treason and insurrection charges. Unrelenting, and the state has continued to conduct mass arrests across all states, to people around Tonse Pamoze Alliance. Those are the four key issues. Linda Kasonde petition, is it valid? Is it a controlled process that they want to attempt to diffuse? Hichilema has already sent out invitation, Cabinet Office has sent out invitation to regional leaders and stakeholders that they should attend the inauguration on 1st September. The matters regarding Mutotwe Kafwaya. And lastly, our leaders, Brian Mundwil and Makebi Zulu, still hold up at the United Nations, a building. What's the implication? A special envoy has arrived in Osaka from the office of the Secretary General to quickly handle that particular matter. In the initial discussions, when there was the United Nations country representative, resident coordinator, Beatrice Mutali, was just left for Kenya. She was trying to tell government that she cannot surrender persons seeking safety and refuge in the compound, and that especially to surrender them to people that want those charges, because there's international law regarding where you should be taken. Can they surrender you to someone who's pursuing charges that might end up with life imprisonment or death penalty? Is that possible? And there were those issues, but we understand government is very determined to ensure that they get Brian and Makebi Zulu. So tune in and kindly share. We always ask you to share. That way it becomes easy. You then don't call people. What has happened? Where is the petition? We resolve everything we know together through your phone calls and through my broadcast and through the information that we have. PP's office, because it's also somehow related to this process. So they close key entities and institutions related to the election petition. They shouldn't lie about that. But they are government in newspaper. Cybercrime network busted. The 79, I think they are talking about, it's not related to the over 300 political leaders that they've arrested. The political change leaders urge unity, peace and security. Let's go to the mast. For the mast, they are leading with the story that the petition could have helped settle this dispute. It is clear that this election has been stolen. It is clear that the role of the army in this election has marred its credibility. It is clear that the role of the soldiers in helping manipulate, alter and facilitate changes that were done. Confiscation of audit trail documents like the Gen 20 has totally marred this election. Without a credible election petition, President Hichilema, even if he forces himself on the people of Zambia, will not be accepted as a leader. He'll be an illegitimate leader like many others. Our ranking will go very low. Civil society have demanded for accountability relating the demise of Honorable Kafwaya. They are demanding for all answers. And LAS, NGOCC, and others have all called upon the Chief Justice to tell us what this all was all about. How do you close the doors of justice when people are looking for justice? That is the must. Let's go to News Diggers. News Diggers is also leading with the story that courts were closed. The election deadline that was supposed to be filed by Brian Mundwile and Makebi Zulu was literally prevented from filing. It wasn't filed to our knowledge because the courts remained closed under the guise of security. We produced EMV newspaper, we produced an extra paper, an evening paper yesterday, because when the matters are developing, the matters are so urgent. You can't wait for the following day. You'll be beaten by online. So our newspaper, we ran a special edition yesterday afternoon where, we're leading with that courts shut to block Mundwile's petition. We concentrated on this petition that this was an attempt to literally, close the doors of justice. Let's go now to the main issues. Let's go to the main issues and we discuss what is pertaining to. So there are various bodies, unlawful killing, there's a working group committee. But I also reached out to understand the political detainees, the sweep of people that they've arrested. So I spoke to someone they connected me to from the United Nations Working Group on arbitrary detentions, and they were explaining, the procedure for me to file such a letter or complaint or anything. And the person remembers Mumba Malila because he was a long-serving member of this committee, and how Mumba Malila has fallen, a celebrated international lawyer from our country, whose career, my role at African Union, he previously served there at the African Court. Mumba Malila served there, and he was vice chairperson, actually, of the African Commission on Human Rights and People's Rights. And by virtue of that position, he was sitting on this UN body that looks at arbitrary detentions. And to see that is the one that was actively stopping the petition yesterday by closing down the courts of law is such a shame. How a man everyone celebrated is now a stigmatized figure of how not to end your career. As a Chief Justice, he's supposed to be celebrated, because of his distinguished role in human rights in the past. And this is what I found at the UN. They couldn't believe it when I was speaking to some people. The UN is extremely busy with the session is coming, the UNGA is coming just in a few days' time. And remember, there's an election of this new Secretary General, and they are all busy with that buzz. But at least I found time to do that. Let's go to the petition and we discuss in detail what this is. Is it something we should celebrate? Is it a sidetrack issue? Is the noble goal by Linda Kasonde, Brebna Changala, and their institution an exercise in futility? I've seen already, it's like someone has written an article by maybe someone senior in the UPND government has written an article that I've seen it shared to 2, 3, 4 people, where they are stating that an application like Linda was done yesterday is not valid. Essentially, that's what they are arguing. They're arguing that you cannot send your petition to the email address of the Chief Justice and then you say the petition is valid. It's not valid. So someone has done a write-up already from the UPND trying to quickly, in the minds of our people, that petition should be discarded. But here is what Linda wrote late night. The Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia, Dear Justice Malila State Council, I hope you are well. Given the security threat at the judiciary today, I attempted to electronically file the attached people's petition with the Chief Registrar's Office
Hi guys, sorry, we just have to pause this video. According to the new YouTube policy, we just have to leave a significant commentary in the video. So if you enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe, like and share with your friends and families. Turn on the notification button so that you are able to see the video always when I post. And don't forget to watch this video up to the end for you to enjoy the full content of our videos. Leave a positive comment in the comment sections. It helps us to improve our channel rather than bad comments. This video will continue very shortly. Stay with me. Continue watching.
Then she shared it
the video
to all of us that she has successfully filed, in our opinion, because the courts are closed. The electronic mail infrastructure they claim you can file on doesn't work. So what can one do? She sent it to the head of how we will resolve the administrative issues should not be her fault. She's seeking justice. The doors are closed. The doors are shut, both physically and in the cyberspace. What does one do? She has sent a valid document, beating the deadline before midnight yesterday. She filed these documents. Yesterday, I was saying an online platform is just not an email you send. And I was bothering to state, especially I was answering my dear brother, Charlie, constitutional lawyer Charlie, who had said, why is the opposition worrying the nation when they can just do an online e-filing? And I was demonstrating that even the online doesn't work. That was at yesterday. And I even challenged all of you that if possible, see what you can do. File. Try even to send an email if it will go there. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Anyone trying to file online first requires that they have a special account opened with the courts of law, a verified user profile on the court online portal. It just can't be anyone. It requires a lawyer who's like accredited or recognized by the courts of law. So a verifier user with a profile on the court online portal for legal practitioners, law firms, and those that are self-represented, they have to open that approved verified user profile. Then the documents must be converted into clear text searchable PDF format, and where they are properly specified using the court online system that allows it. Then they have to approve. You have to have approved digital signatures because there's no online, no physical interaction with anyone. So you are doing it correctly. And you have to create a digital signature that is approved by the courts of law, by the portal itself. Then submission and individual documents then must be properly signed, authenticated digitally, because there are no physical stamp, no physical seals. So you create all these digitally approved skills with the online portal. And then you have to pay. There are fees that require that the application is valid. You pay the requisite fees through an electronic transfer system they've created where you pay straight to the courts. Then certified for documents that are supporting your application, they have to be certified copies of identity or company registration documents to verify that the registering party or litigant, if requested by the registrar, can prove this. Then, of course, proper hardware. Their email have to work. Their cloud-based app, portals must work. They should have proper internet, accredited officers. So it's not just a matter of sending an email. But here we have a unique matter where the courts are closed. The internet-based process doesn't work and has not worked for years. What do? Linda did a good thing. Sent it to the head of the Chief Justice. If they want, they can formalize this morning, allow the courts to open, and she can file. Is she filing out of time? No, it's not a fault. You close the courts without justification, without cause. Tell me in the comment, what do you think? Is Linda's application and Brebna Changala's application valid? The UPND are already saying you cannot file to the email of the Chief Justice. You are creating precedent. But the process doesn't work. You close. Chief Justice was the one in the forefront of closing those courts across the country. Is cyber-based space doesn't work. So she sent to the email address of the Chief Justice. Is that application valid? Will the Chief Justice, to save himself the embarrassment, to save his tattered image, will he allow, because of the administrative failures, the court yesterday was closed for purported security reason, the internet-based online portal doesn't work? Will he, for those two valid reasons, allow Brian Mundwile and Makebizulu to file out of time today? Because the hitches is not coming from the petitioners. The hitches is coming from Mbamalila himself. He closed the courts. His internet-based online portal doesn't work. So who do you blame? Will you deny people justice because of your administrative decisions? Tell me in the comment what should happen. President Hakainde Hichilema is determined to go ahead with this petition. Secretary to Cabinet and state functions, director state functions, PS state functions have sent out invitations to, I saw an invitation that was sent to one of the regional leaders, one of the regional countries, where they are asking them to come for the inauguration on 1st September. So they are determined. Even the issue of the courts is for them just academic. They don't recognize that an election petition is part of the cycle of the elections themselves. The elections do not end when Mwangala Zalomis makes a declaration. The elections do not end because Mwangala Zalomis has disbanded the infrastructure at Mulungushi. No. Campaigning, election day, declaration, and the complaints, how to attend to the complaints, are part of the election cycle. As it is now, we have not ended our elections because the petitioning process of those elections have been frustrated. So the election cycle is hanging in the air. That's where it's hanging, in the air. On June 23, 2022, and I'll look for that video quickly, President Hakainde Hichilema was at a European Parliament, where, remember where he says Zambia is now, in the Premier League. He says, I will never harass my opponent. I will never mistreat the former president. He says, I will treat with dignity my opponent. I will not touch them. He pledged that he will not abuse any human rights. He will not use oppressive legislation. And he says he will reform our country. It will be a shining example in Africa. And you could see all those members of parliament in the MEPs, as they are called, the member of European Parliament, MEPs, they all stood for standing ovation several times for him because he was touching the right buttons. Here is an African leader who will never abuse human rights. Wow, here is an African leader who will follow the rule of law. Here is an African leader who will respect the opposition. Here is an African leader that will reform the democratic space, will expand the democratic space, not shrink it. He will allow media freedom and civil society, political and civil rights to flourish. They clapped for him. If you play that video, it's such an embarrassment. How the man has fallen, far below even where he was accusing his predecessor, Edgar Lungu. He's fallen far beyond here. He has just conducted a coup d'etat. That's what he has done. He has conducted the coup d'etat. He has turned a civil democratic process and he has hijacked it using the Zambia army, using Mwangala Zalomis and the Chief Justice, and they facilitated a coup d'etat. Someone said, Emmanuel, those are very strong words. Just, what do you call it? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, floats like a duck, what is it? It is a duck. Everything, all the elements of a coup d'etat fit in what President Hakainde Hichilema did. Sends the military, they storm polling centers, totaling centers. They help amend the results. They alter the records, confiscate documents. The military. What do you call that? People want to petition. What do you call that? He closes the courts. He sends a military raid to kill one who has won elections, Brian Mundwile, and kills a former minister who is a colleague to Brian Mundwile, chairperson for finance, Mutotwe Kafwaya. What do you call that? If it looks, walks, quacks like a duck, it is a duck. What President Hakainde Hichilema has done is a coup d'etat, and now he's rushing to a ceremonial installation of himself, disregarding what has happened. He blatantly inflated the figures from Southern Province. Can you imagine where you have results up to 60, 70,000, but only 25,000 voted for MPs and council chairperson and councillors, but another 40,000 voted for the president. So And there's no proof that the other people went with their ballots home. No one has accounted for those documents, and we are supposed to accept that those results are genuine. And the verification process we want to do has been hijacked. Yesterday I announced here that Mangala Zalumis has ordered, Brown Kasaro, the CEO, Chief Electoral Officer, has ordered for the surrender of all ballot boxes regarding the presidential ballot boxes. Remember, those presidential ballot boxes are not sent to head office until there is a verification by all stakeholders. You will remember even in 2021 that way after President Hichilema had been sworn in, there was still a verification exercise being done before the presidential votes are surrendered to ECZ. Here, they are transferring all those ballots without a verification with stakeholders, a flagrant abuse of the law. And Brown Kasoro was going to make appointments. He's changing election results. Changing it. There was a vote tally that was not approved. And there are various people whose results are changing. And there are cases like, Mandevu, Christopher Shakafuswa lost terribly. Lusaka mayor. The mayor who lost by over 80,000 votes. But just look how flagrant. They take away a lead of over 80,000. And they turn the results and they deny Gabriel Kibombwe. And that's a story everywhere. An election has been stolen. Candidates that didn't win the elections. Look at Matero. Sakala was so decent, even congratulated the owner, went on Facebook to congratulate Saulos Mwamba. Then they wake him up, what are you doing? Those are hundreds of thousands of votes. What are you doing? You have won the election. They had to wake up Sakala and make him winner. We've never seen an election this dirty. So I used the strong word that what has happened in all this is literally a coup d'etat. And like I said, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, floats like one, it is a duck. You are not far from it. It's not a swan. It's not a small bird. It is a duck. This is a coup d'etat that President Hakainde Hichilema has engineered. Let's go to the next subject.
Set the national agenda and focusing on cross-referencing newspaper coverage with primary data.
Bother to establish his full names. If possible, write them. You can't be calling him. It's just indecent. It's just very indecent. Hakainde Hichilema has terrible names. But listen, when you watch BBC, CNN, they bother that they will not say Hakainde Hichilema. They will bother to say Hakainde Hichilema. They will bother. So you can't be passing your condolences. You are failing to say Mutotwe Kafwaya. Natauleibukisha walemba. Not Mutoto Kufwaya or Mufwaya Kutotwe. It is just indignity. If you don't know the name, just say the former or the late Minister of Transport and Communications. And to say on TV his name's totally wrong. I saw 2, 3, 4 senior officials do that. So the Secretary to Cabinet finally has been to the House of Mourning and met the family. But Patrick Kangona Watemwe Milando, he goes with Thabo Kawana. Thabo Kawana, how do you go with Thabo Kawana? And there was an outrage when they saw Thabo Kawana at the funeral home. It's like they came to mock the family. The family was so annoyed. But Patrick Kangwa, what are your intentions? We pleaded for you to go to the funeral home here on this platform. We said the person that had died is a former cabinet minister. He has been killed in the most ruthless manner. And his death is in the hands of President Hakainde Hichilema, because the commander-in-chief who sent, there's no movement of soldiers to such a serious operation where the head of state would not commandeer, would not give authority. That was approved by the president. So the blood is on the president. Even in the heat of all that, you are Secretary to Cabinet. That's your role as government. The person that has died, has been killed, whose life has been taken in the most gruesome manner, was a cabinet minister, and your duty is to go there. Once Mwasen Dele Kawana, the family and even the onlookers were very annoyed with that. It's impunity. Someone said, Kawana Mulwele. It's not that we are stigmatizing it, but clearly, how do you do that? So I think that was the most insensitive thing. But I'm glad you went there. You endured the abuse when people began to hail insults at you because they were seeing a fiction of President Hakainde Hichilema, who commandeered, who authorized a process that killed their son, father, uncle. So there was proper indignation. But from what I'm speaking to, most of the people that were present, they were shocked that you turned up with Thabo Kawana. That was the most insensitive thing, Secretary to Cabinet, you've ever done. But I'm glad that now government is in charge, is discussing with the family. The families have intimated that the body will be put to rest in Lonte. I have an audio here which I played yesterday and I'll play it again of Bakanawesa Bachifum people from Kanchivia and speaking on behalf of the Bemba Rural Establishment. They've regretted the death, but they said they are still looking for answers. And they stated that when they bring the body for burial, and whoever will officiate from government side must explain in detail to the family and to the people of Lonte what happened to Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. How did he die? They want those details. I think that was given by him. But look at the mockery that was done by these people.
There was nothing, there was no truth in whatever Bamundu was doing. You know, when you do things with confusion, confusion then I knew from the word God that Mutotwe, and I maintained that. Me, I knew Mutotwe is not dead. Me, I knew Mutotwe is not dead.
Yes, we are dealing with disinformation. So where there's disinformation, we put the truth there. We have seen that the Napupu running mate, Makebi Zulu, has posted that Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya was shot by the army, 2 bullets in the chest, and is now admitted at Mainasoko. We are here at Mainasoko. I am joined by my colleagues, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Machembo is at the far end there. We are also joined by the owner of the facility, the PS for Defense, Mr. Amaundu is here. So Mr. Amaundu, please explain to the people, explain to the Zambians. Is Honorable Kafwaya here? And was Honorable Kafwaya shot by your army?
It's a laughing matter. I think we need to be serious as a people. We need really to move away from fabricating information. I actually came through to Mainasoko upon reading on social media that Honorable Kafwaya was shot and is actually at Mainasoko. And I can confirm to members of the public that that is unfounded. We are at Mainasoko. I've checked the record. I've engaged the management here. At no time.
To be calm, to be confident in the system that we have put in place. There are so many falsehoods that are being thrown around in our country in order to agitate the Zambian people. For the Zambian people to rise up or create a chaos in our country, Just today, I'm just hearing that there's a rumor going out there that President Mundubile has been arrested. There's no truth to that. And yet some people have taken it as gospel truth in order to agitate the Zambian people to be calm, to be confident in the system that we have put in place.
You can imagine the mockery that happened. We now know the facts that they took a bleeding, profusely bleeding Mutotwe Kafwaya. There were attempts to resuscitate him, but those 2 fatal shots from a military gun from armed commandos at short range, you know, he couldn't survive. And government has not accounted for other persons that could have died in the raid, and we keep on asking that question. Now, the following day, because Brian Mundubile had broken the record here that Mutotwe Kafwaya was shot twice in the evening. In the morning, Thabo Kawana took those 2 permanent secretaries, Mambo, Hamaundu, and Dixon Matembo. And you can see the mockery, calling it a laughing matter, and that he had checked the records. Yet the records show that they had brought Mutotwe Kafwaya in the night. They attempted to resuscitate him. It was in vain. By 22 hours, they took him to the morgue. And there they were lying. No implication. President Hakainde Hichilema will not even punish them or even fire them or call for discipline or even apologize. He would do none of that. And coming to that, Mr. President, why are you quiet on the demise of Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya? Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya was a senior leader in our country. You have not acknowledged his death. You have not passed your condolences. You are head of state, and you are pleading that we should treat you like father of our nation, that we should treat you like our head of state. Yet you have failed to recognize the death of Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. You have failed to send condolences. You have failed to acknowledge his demise. Do you want to do what you did to the late President Edgar Lungu, where it took you 7 days to address the nation over the demise of the late president? Because all we saw was Patrick Kangwa, the hapless Kangwa, is the one that came to announce the demise of the late President Edgar Lungu. You never addressed us. That was a Facebook posting whose language was even terrible, quite insensitive. Until pressure mounted after 7 days. That's when you recognize the late president, set up a funeral at Belvedere, and then you address the nation. Here, the former minister has died. It's just imperative. It's only decent to recognize the demise and pass your condolences. Yes, blood is on you. You directed the military raid, an assassination plot on Brian Mundubile, ended up in the fatal shooting of Mutotwe Kafwaya. His inauguration on 1st September. Have you noted who has congratulated him, who has not? See the regional leaders like South Africa that have not congratulated him to date, Zimbabwe and others. For us in the diplomatic community, what you say and what you do not say amounts to a lot of communication. South Africa is a powerhouse. It sits on the G20. It's a powerhouse in the diplomatic and international sphere of both Africa and the world. And they've restrained themselves from congratulating you, Mr. President. Probably that's why you should have allowed the petition with your judges. Probably. And you don't trust your own judges. Huh? You appoint your judges to the Superior Court. You promote them. You've appointed up to 100 judges over the last 3 years. But you don't trust even your judges. Just like you don't trust the ECZ. Your own people do elections. You people that were recruited as post staff through an accreditation and up to test process, you remove all of them. And then you bring your own people at the last minute, all of them from your region. They tell you have lost the election. You say, no, Brian Mundubile hired teachers up to 40,000. Your Brian Mundubile alikuwa tamaka. Alikuwa tendalama. Up to 40,000 teachers were hired and post staff to report Gen 20 results that were different from what the people voted. Yo alikuwa tamaka Brian Mundubile. Someone was asking me a very fundamental question, that why has the president risked it all? Why has he thrown the human rights record in the dustbin, good governance record in the dustbin? He's not even pretending. He has behaved like some leaders in the region did a crackdown on his political opponents, accuse them of forming this phantom militia. Why has he done this? I understand why he has done it. First, he has Greg Mills and he has Tony Blair, and the two who are his critical advisors have said they will do a cleanup. They will clean up his image. We have seen how they've tried to suppress the news of election petition, of election dispute in South African newspaper. It had to take here in New York 2 strong articles, and I think one story in Paris that exposed the flaws of these elections. And a lot of people are disappointed with the Dingy, Jonah and his reports, his apologetic reports to BBC. But I said, no, he's our celebrated young man. He could be under pressure. We don't know the forces he's playing with. If he's taken a partisan role, I don't know. But I refuse to condemn Dingy, so I haven't discussed him here. But a lot of people, even, all his reports, his interview with Brian Mundubile, all these things in the way he has structured all the reports. But I said, he's a young man, let's celebrate him, and he will grow. He will use this as an experience that Zambia is bigger than any individual or any partisan interest, and that he works for a reputable institution like BBC. So I don't know, we'll not discuss Dingy. So they were saying, but why is he blunt? Said, his advisors. Zambia has critical minerals, copper, gold, cobalt, manganese, lithium. It has all these. So we are sought after. The Congo, whether there's a sham election or not, all the major mining houses from Australia, Canadians, Europeans are all in the Congo. And Congo has become the second largest producer of copper. 3.2 million metric tons in a period of 3 years. Imwe, 3 million metric tons in a period of 10 years. That's your focus. Congo has done it from 600,000 metric tons just 5 years ago Congo is producing 3.2 million metric tons. So his advisors are saying, look, for us, we are interested who controls this. If you are the one that will control the critical minerals, we are with you. We have the Lobito Corridor program that we are doing with you, but we have seen that the EU, which had promoted him and hosted him in parliament, where he made this grandiose pronouncement, and he has fallen from them and is now an embarrassment. They've also not congratulated him for his electoral victory. So that's in the diplomatic space where key countries have not congratulated him. There are those that just says, we're not on an election cycle, election has taken place and there's a winner, and we do formal congratulations, and we don't care about the details of whether there's an election petition, whether that election was free and fair. It's a matter in the knot, in the calendar of events, that, if a neighbor has had a celebration or a demise, you just acknowledge. So there are those that have done those congratulated in a formal manner. And we will watch who will come to his inauguration. Obviously, Tanzania, Solomia, our dear mother, will come. Mozambique went through a bloody period like this before the current president was installed as president. And even in the post-electoral process, Mozambique was caught up in a vicious protest by Mozambicans. So he will come. We will watch others that will come to this sham of, to come and recognize the outcome of this sham election. We want to Akwalesa, I hope to take a rest, so I will not be here for a long time. I think we have done the review of, someone says, where are your colleagues? Indeed, Mwamono Kunaka, Ishishi Nandi Sampa, and Wachandakazi and Augustine, if they are there. I was so late to come to the broadcast and I just rushed into the broadcast. Let me check for my colleagues if they are there before we discuss this coup d'etat you are calling an election.
Yes, okay. So you asked me how I am, and you...
Brian Mundubile won this election on ordinary total, and that's why there was this intervention. And Makebi Zulu are still holed up at the United Nations compound. Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. There was a lot of pressure on Beatrice Mutali. Beatrice Mutali was a UN resident coordinator, and her term had come to an end, but the UN had advised her that she should only leave after delivering the election. When Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu sought refuge there for the fear of their lives, a raid had just been conducted on Brian Mundubile's home with his family, where Mutotwe Kafwaya was killed. They didn't feel safe anywhere. And we know that that was a strong assassination plot. It was just not a so-called military raid against militia. There was no militia. You and I know that there is no such thing as militia. It's a phantom story. And in the comment, tell me if you still believe the first story of militia. Does it still hold water? Hasn't it been exposed by all these machinations? Kwa wao wina ma election uletina waingisha bola uletina VAR ule kanya ba referee ati be Monaco ule bakanya VAR nishina wina na uingisha akakato na uingisha fe wino but ule bakanya ati be Monaco pa VAR. Come on. The story of the militia, I think it made sense just that same day, alarmed the nation. But when people come down, they say, come on, Mr. President, you're not speaking to children. Where is the evidence? And there's been none. Where is the justification? You've been investigating for 2 years. Why did you allow them to participate in elections? A matter of the coup is dealt with immediately. In fact, if you know of a coup, just by knowledge, it's called misprision of treason. Misprision of, what's the correct one? Misprision of treason. Just your knowledge that there are people planning, you can be arrested. So who are these people that you have known about this plot for 2 years and you have not arrested them? Arrest them. That's what the law says. The law is very clear that you should report immediately if there is anyone, because that's how serious any issue of insurrection or coup or unconstitutional takeover of any government is. That even by your knowledge, even if you are a wife and your husband is planning that and you don't report, you are also arrested. So they say this plot has been going on for 2 years. So Brian and Makebi are still at the UN compound. The United Nations, from the office of the Secretary General, have sent someone in Zambia, and there are negotiations already underway. UN standards, especially the charges that they are proposing to charge Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, requires that they can't be handed over to Zambia. They cannot. They have to be handed to a third party or a country of their choice. But President Hakainde Hichilema must put his foot down. They leave the UN compound, he will have them arrested. And you saw the Inspector General of Police say they'll be treated in the most humane way. Come on. You are torturing even an innocent guy like Patrick Mwansa, who has done nothing wrong. You kill Mutotwe Kafwaya. How can you be trusted? You are arresting people without giving him bond or bail. The law says within 48 hours. How long have you kept the people that you have kept without any charge? How long have you kept them? So which law will you follow? So the two are very safe, but their communication is extremely limited because they're in a neutral facility of the UN. They do not want them to make phone calls. They don't want them to make statements. And so they are not in charge of their phones. They have to abide by the rules because the UN is resident in Zambia. There are diplomatic things they can do and they can't do. And one of the key things is the people that they are sheltering from this violent attack from the state and these machinations from President Hakainde Hichilema. They cannot, for example, allow them phones and they hear a leakage that someone has conducted a press conference or someone has issued a statement. They're under that condition. They are safe, but we don't know for how long. We don't know how long these negotiations will go. As at yesterday, the Zambian government was insisting that Brian Mundubile and Makebizulu must be surrendered to the state to answer to the charges. And we wish to assure you nothing will happen to them. Zambia follows the due process of the law. Zambia, which has just conducted a coup d'etat, Zambia follows the rule of law. The Inspector General of Police, who has just tortured some of the people they got from the residents. A police force that has given treason charges, Kuliwa Bishop Trevor Mwambashua, George Chisanga. You say that's a fair process. Come on. So you can speak to those three issues. Linda Kasonde's petition. And it brings me to an issue. You, like I reprimanded you, don't think Linda will save the country. Don't think Donald Trump will save the country. The EU will save. It is you. Here, Linda Kasonde has done a very brave thing. Why don't you raise pressure to ensure that the Chief Justice accept that petition? It's not our fault that the offices were closed by the Chief Justice. It's not our fault that the internet-based online portal doesn't work. It's not our fault. But what are you doing? She has done her part. She has filed a valid petition. They've prevented Brian Mundubile and Makebizulu from filing theirs. You, as a citizen who voted, what are you doing to protect the results? You voted, you protected the vote. At least we have those Gen 20. What are you doing to protect the results? Here, Linda Kasonde has done one of the most noble things. What pressure will you create to ensure that our application is done? No one will do these things for you other than yourselves. You voted, it's your country. You must take charge of its outcome. It's not President Hakainde Hichilema's country. It's not his. Zambia is our country together.
So tufunyirepo omwenso fwe mazambia tufunyirepo omwenso because otulera nakubipa ekyo ndefo ko amazambia ndwa mwamba wesu.
Arakola, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make a contribution.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Mwamba.
Good morning.
Anonymous.
Yes, Anonymous.
First and foremost, I feel shame on behalf of my lovely president, Mr. Echich. As usual, who has no censor. To say whether the things he is doing or is happening is shameless to him, everything is all right. Yeah, I wanted to comment on Mr. Kafwaya's issue. It's very unfortunate, Mr. Mwamba. Very, very unfortunate. It's exactly like the statement it's like umuntu aipa umwana obe and then aisa pachiriro mwamupera na platform amba nokupera ma comments. This is exactly what is happening. It's very, very unfortunate. It's unfortunate that even our leaders feel once about the government, they are shameless. It's not too long when this PS like Kawana Vale posting about people. No one was shot. Yeah, shani. 2, 3, 4 days later, another person from the same government noticed a statement, and then today it's very, very shameful. Then talking about the way forward protest, not necessarily the protest, maybe the action we can take as Zambians. Mwamba can assure you that if there was a person, just one single person there rising up to protest, that person will be followed like Jesus Christ. people we are not happy. Everywhere, people we are complaining. Despite the environment, yes, there are militaries, militarisms, yes, and local youth, local Atamakas, UPND, they are in unity. Nama issues, Yama violence. But this time around, we can support whoever can raise a flag to protest. So without wasting time, Mwamba, me, I would still go for the first year in the day for Kupanga inauguration. It's better they watch the protest so that wakale tuchita misunderstand wakale mwatulea ku inauguration meanwhile na tumfana kitukumani na paso. So all this time up to first Mwamba ndemilomba let's listen to chipange feature kusa tule chita advertise TV endila yo mwingi abantu twanaishi bantu wanaikatishanya first September inauguration a day of protest. I think that's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Nende for Kuranda kufeti ntuchimu. Wa HH. Tawa ibire ba mundu bira maboti. Wa HH. Wa ibira mazambiani. Ba rungu banankare ba makepe banankare ba kweta maboti yabiri. So ba ibira mazambiani. Milioni zambiani ba ibira maboti. So ifintu fimo file tika wati. Ifoto walikuwa chia sana umwe. Noku mwana fana taking advantage pa mwana ndokati mfo bakwe. So na muna chana nguninga wa step ifyo saba te tapai bangati. Maka wale bon fyandi deni. Dela nda kumutima wa le former ba lelechi ba rungu. Bali kwetu umutima. Because basata bana nkaliba bakaunda bale batasana kubanda. Then Catholic is our church. Ewa iminemo noku block fati ro muntu bali mulo kinginefe bati kakafi. Kuchile fichambo kula ita Zambian. Ngabadi bwefe bati kakafi. Bino bale foko bati kakafi. Bati kakafi. Then yapita na election bati kakula. Nomba wakati bali nomba wa munachi akatro kuchindika Christian akana kuchindika church ya Catholic hali kuchindika ngaba bishop Catholic hali kuchindika kufina mfeumo. Bonawe naba imine mu musha ya kwa ati esa teke. Wonse bwashire mukusta mkuba posa nokuba pontera wonse fi. Nabene ba Catholic na bishop church ine. Umuntu tuwale support ama fathers bali imine. Basanga chumuntu kashi warungu bali win. Nomba eno muntu babika potashi chindika po Catholic aisa apontera nokupontera mazambian kwa tilimbi abazambian ninama tabatontonga shwa Joseph tabali ushira Joseph Milandu bale babepesha ba bena ba mundu bile na bashara bale tusha bale tusha bya bantu innocent bena ba tusha mazambian andi bayibira mazambian tabawo muntu bayibira ba mundu bile tababira povoti abali bafye ku yali pendo bayibira ama citizen ibaka bwala la bisana ate bakupera na chance ni fimi kukuru na ate hotel.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello?
Make your contribution. Tell us your name and make your contribution.
Okay, I'm nameless, calling from Zambia. Yes, yes, Ambassador. I just have a suggestion to make. Is it not possible that abantu baleti nokwemukisa demonstrate mu streets? Why can't uli onse panganda abule mpoto na pani twalisha ko katushina 10 minutes or 8 minutes katushina 06 hours twalisha bonse mayanda twapanga fyechongo? That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. We are getting your calls. Keep on calling. And it's good you are keeping your contribution very limited. Address it, be to the point, and let us get your contributions quickly. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Mwachukeni from Kwaiwa Mwamba. Nine ona lero na abwera ba Mwamba nebo anonymous. Ile ine mailo nalilanda kwa chishwa brother walanda ya mapani na masharita ya konfuike. Ama moto kasi aba kwata ama moto ka ngati ni 12 hours ngante 13 hours bonse ba ave pi. Never to ate pali wa chiruva nishina mumuleta demonstrate our voices will be heard through ama hooting. Everybody should hoot. Whether it's 12 hours, whether 12 hours, whether 13 hours, afina for charge pali wa chiruva. It's going to work.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Mwamba.
If you're not committed, we should not lose hope. I still have confidence that the efforts that are being made by patriots like our dear sister in Sunday, getting no purposes. And I've had situations.
You are cutting quickly, make your contribution.
To remember, yes, when KPF made a submission in behalf of Edgar Balungo, at the time we were having the elections in 2015, which these were petitions that were done at the time. Don't see anything talking about petitions. And online submissions will be done. So,
oh, this line is very bad. It's just cracking. Try to call again, my brother. We can't get anything. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and